You're watching Byline Wilmington on CBS 10 WILM. Here's your host, Don Ansell.
We're talking about my restless journey. This is the memoirs of Bertha Todd. She's a lifelong educator, an activist, a community treasure. She collaborated on the book with Rhonda Bellamy, who's a journalist and edited the book. Rhonda, hold that book up. Let's see if we can get a shot of this book. Folks, this is an amazing story. It's compelling, but it's also an historical document of our times, particularly for our area. Bertha Todd was instrumental in the Wilmington Tent case, and we'll get into that a little bit down the road, and also in the 1898 effort to bring to light one of the important pieces of history of this area. Rhonda, you're of a totally different era, and yet it has to make a strong impact on you and how different your experiences must have been growing up, or were they different? You kind of have a great feel and taste of what it was like for Bertha Todd to grow up.
It was very different,
yeah.
Because I was born in New York and spent most of my formative years in New York, and then came to the South, you know, as a teenager. And so talk of life on a farm and a big family, and I can identify with the big family, but we didn't all live in the same place. So yeah, there were certainly some differences, and that's what made it interesting for me.
Well, what are your memories of the social climate of the time?
During that time I was growing up?
Yeah.
Well, it was a densely populated neighborhood.
Mixed?
And mixed neighborhood,
right.
Yes. But I don't recall ever having talked about the ethnic or racial issue.
You don't remember that? It
wasn't, not too much.
It wasn't.
The individuals with whom we worked were not education-minded, and they were not motivated to even finish high school most of the time. So we didn't.
You didn't have this. There wasn't a divide in your mind as a youngster.
No, not.
As a matter of fact, you relayed a story.
That story I'll never forget. My father, there was a white man who came to see my stepfather. I called my blood father Daddy, and my stepfather, he passed away early. And this was my stepfather, whom we call Papa. Well, he came to see Papa, and he was busy saying, Uncle Junius, Uncle Junius, Uncle Junius. And we looked at him and wondered why he was saying it. We knew we had uncles. So when he left, we said, Papa, is that man related to us? Is that our uncle? And our stepfather said, oh, children, that's just the way it was or is. So the next time we saw him, he didn't explain why, so we began to call him Uncle Jerry. And we continued to call him Uncle Jerry. He didn't correct us. Our stepfather didn't correct us. And we just assumed maybe that was just one of the uncles.
And eventually, although it was 2 years delayed, you went to college, and North Carolina.
North Carolina College of Durham, yes.
Which is now
North Carolina Central University.
And you went to
North Carolina Central University.
Yes, you attended.
We're both Eagles.
The Eagles, yes.
and went on to a master's, and you eventually got to Wilmington.
Yes, I really signed a contract before I came to Wilmington. One of the individuals from Williston Industrial School brought the contract to me. It was sent by the principal. I never really went there to sign it. And because they were so in need of librarians at the time.
And your library science was your major?
Library science. They call it media specialist now. Okay. Do about the same thing. The name changed. And I signed the contract. She took it back to the principal. I also filled out the application. I went through the process. I just wasn't in Wilmington at the time.
Had you been to Wilmington?
Oh, yes. Okay. I had a lot of relatives here in Wilmington.
And then there came a time where you were working in the school system, where you got involved in the Wilmington Tent, that whole case that actually there's an anniversary coming up very
40th anniversary.
Yes, and she's in fact part of the panel, and I'm the moderator for that 40th anniversary commemoration on February 3rd.
Where's that going to be?
UNCW.
Is that that's open to the public?
As far as
And there's some pretty big names coming.
Yes, Ben Chavis will be in, right. I spoke with him a couple nights ago, and
Ferguson, I think.
right.
Give us a taste of those times. This was in early February 1971.
Yes, and I might say that 1970 and 71 was really the worst year in my educational career. It was volatile, it was quick thinking, it was working day and night, trying to figure out or strategize on some plans to help to quell the violence.
And this came from?
School desegregation.
Right, which
Yes.
was mandated by the federal government in
Quite a while, 1954.
54.
Yes.
This is 71. It's just getting
is
to
right.
coming to Wilmington.
Well, New Hanover County was a bit slow in going through the school desegregation process.
But you were in a unique position because you worked in the school system at the time.
Yes.
So tell us.
You're talking about regarding the Wilmington Tent.
Yeah.
Well, it began really when I would work in the library, walking the floors of the library, and the students would come up to me and tell me what was going to happen. So I learned that they were going to have a boycott. In fact, I remained in my office until
That the students were going to boycott going to school.
Boycott going to school. New Hanover County's black students and Hoggart's black students. They were going to find a church where they could meet. The only one who would let them have a church to meet was Reverend Templeton. And I learned that they were going to meet there that morning. I tried to persuade an individual, one of the students at Hoggart, please talk with the students and tell them we are continuing to try to do the best we can in the school system to have a smooth desegregation. Please ask them not to boycott. I should have known better. He said, Mrs. Todd, I'll do my best. So of course he didn't. I guess he did. I don't know. Anyway.
It all exploded.
It all exploded. When I learned that the students were boycotting the first time, I went to the school, church, and I informed the superintendent that I was going to the church. I really checked around to see if I could find anyone in the community, a black person, adult, who could go with me, and no one would accept my invitation. Then I checked in the school system. I could not find anyone, so I went alone. That was the first time I went to the church. By that time, I found myself in a leadership position by default.
Because you were there? And
I was there. There were no black adults in the church. They were in the beginning, but they left. So the question or the problems were not solved, not even expressed. So I took on the leadership role with that.
And a lot of this is detailed in
Yes.
My Restless Journey.
Yes, it is.
Because this is not a story that can be told in a brief amount of time, but I just wanted to whet people's appetite about that. Rhonda, you must have known about the Wilmington Tent way before you ever met.
Yes, I did. Through my reading, exactly. And also during the 1898 commemoration and the efforts leading up to that, there was a lot of tie-in made to that. And the fact that some of the lingering tensions were, almost 100 years old at that point.
Actually, we'll take a break because I want to devote a little time to the whole 1898 issue and what that was and how that played out. So we'll be right back. Stick with us.